Okay, boys and girls, this is my own little blog's market analysis of Canada's economy in 2018. And it's just for fun. I mean, it's a blog with teen gossip on it. Okay, don't take this stuff seriously. Um, so we just find out in February that retail sales in December in Canada actually shrunk when everybody thought it would expand a little bit, at least above 0%. It shrunk below 0%. And this is like December, right? Like holiday shopping season, fourth quarter, all that stuff. It shrunk. And I think it's because Canadian consumers now focusing more on like real life priorities, like flesh and blood. I shouldn't say real life priorities. I should say flesh and blood priorities, like their kids. Because what's going on in the Canadian economy is that now the government is starting to raise the money in order to support things like daycare, support things like daycare that's now too expensive for like maybe single working mothers, right? They have to start like they're raising the budget in order to subsidize and support the average Canadian, because obviously private wealth, as in Canada, not US, private wealth is not keeping pace with modern costs. Okay? And this is the average Canadian. We're not talking about poverty. All right? So if you're American, you're listening to this, set aside poverty, set aside the ghetto. We are talking middle class up here in Canada. The private wealth of the middle class is not keeping pace with modern costs of like childcare and everything. Normally, where would you get that? Working in the capitalist marketplace, right? Working. But even by raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, private wealth for the middle class not keeping up with modern costs, childcare, school tuition, all that stuff, even though a lot of it is subsidized still, healthcare, everything subsidized. And yet, when you go out there to work, your paycheck's not keeping up with modern costs. So the government has to step in, right, and start helping out more with like childcare and all this stuff. All right, and that's what's happening. Totally different from poverty in the United States. Okay, this from the middle class all the way down to like homeless, right? Okay, so and because and one of the surprising indicators was that in December during Christmas, retail sales actually shrunk. All right, and so for the next year in Canada, that's what the government doing, is like spending to help, alleviate the household costs of the average Canadian. Because the average Canadian, even though you might see the 1% out there, Meghan Markle so rich, Celine Dion so rich, that's two people off the top of your head. The other 30 million starving. All right? Okay. Who's 1% now? You're 1%, not me. All right? If the only two Canadian you can think of, Celine Dion, Michael Bublé, and Meghan Markle in Buckingham Palace, you're the 1%. I'm with the 30 million that's like fucking starving. All right? All right, so that's the economy for 2018 in Canada. It's going to be very slow. Government's going to have to step in to help, because white collar, blue collar, whatever you want, private wealth cannot keep up with modern costs. So what they're thinking of, all right, a big bank in US thinking of offering, like saying, hey, remember you guys had the mortgage bubble, like mortgage backed papers? I think I was doing the same thing over here, right? Except supposedly Canadians are, you know, because what I just mentioned is about the middle class. Supposedly the middle class homeowner is more secure than what happened in the US, because some of those people, most of those people who bought homes in the US that led to your collapse, you know, the recession, had no money, right? But they're thinking the homeowners in Canada are more middle class. So this time it might be different. So they're thinking of doing the same thing. Repackaging mortgages, selling them as bonds. All right. Because the average Canadian, even though we have, you know, right now the economy up in Canada is very slow, the average Canadian has a track record of being more conservative, more middle class. Whereas what happened down there that led to your recession, those guys walked out of the sticks with nothing and bought mansions. So they're gonna do the same thing up here, because this time, you know, the odds are better with Canadians. True. The odds are better with Canadians. I mean, that's their thinking. I don't know, right? Like Abraham Lincoln, right? You know, whatever, right? I don't know. Risk averse, risk tolerant, different risk levels. I don't know, right? But that's what they're thinking. And what kind of mortgages are these? So why are they thinking of like repackaging mortgages, Canadian mortgages, and selling them as bonds on the international market? Because when you buy a house, you can get mortgage insurance. And what happens in the case of mortgage insurance? Say you fall ill or you get, you know, laid off or something. The mortgage insurance will kick in and maybe pay for your mortgage for like a year, or until you find another job, or until, if it's long-term illness, like until you manage to sell the house or something, without going into default. You know, it'll cover your mortgage payments. You know, if you know, kind of like unemployment insurance will cover. So like, you know, your income until you find another job, or if it's long term, it'll cover it until you can sell it. So it's not like you get a negative report card. It's more, is, you know, you can ease yourself into a new situation or something. But a lot of people did not qualify for what happened is a lot of people what happened is, if you bought a house with 20% down, you didn't have to buy mortgage insurance. So I bought this place with at least 20% down. So they're gonna, so I technically I didn't have to get mortgage insurance. So they're gonna repackage mortgages of people like me who bought a place with at least 20% down, who does not need to get mortgage insurance. You see, if you are a high risk borrower, like say you bought a place with 5% down, the odds are, this is the theory, the odds are you will need mortgage insurance because you only got 5% cash. But I walk in, I put down 20% cash. Okay, you obviously more well-to-do, so you don't need to buy this insurance. You're a fatter cat, right? So they're gonna repackage mortgages from people like me who bought like walked in, put down at least 20% in cash and said, I want this place, and I don't need that mortgage insurance. That's for poor people in case, they get laid off at Walmart or something. So now the only mortgages with mortgage insurance, right, are sort of like people who bought with small down payments, right? Except get this, right? If those, okay, so I'll get to my situation after, but if those people, I mean, I want to be fair to everybody, rich, poor, right? Regardless of what I am. But if those people default, like say you only put down 5% in cash and you default, the insurance will kick in, right? Except now it's like the insurance will kick in to cover the bank. But the insurance is a government insurance. Yeah, it's a government insurance. So the bank, which is a private business, is covered by that insurance plan. But who's paying on your behalf is the government. It's not a private insurance company. It's the government. Yeah, that mortgage plan is not a private plan. It's a government plan, right? So now the government's worried because what's going to happen is, in the worst case scenario in that situation, if those people who only plunk down 5% cash for a house and they can't afford it because of layoffs, the economy is very slow, right? The private bank is covered by that insurance, except that insurance is not a private plan. It's a government plan. So now the government is on the hook, right? Right? You thought, oh, that insurance plan, private plan? No, it's government plan. So now the government's a little bit worried because the private bank is totally protected, right? No matter what happens, the private bank is totally protected by the government on the way. So can you imagine a private business that's like, you cannot fail in Canada? You're a private business, but you cannot fail. Even your customers go broke, the government will step in, you cannot fail, and yet you are a private business. That is a ticket, that is a license to print money, right? It seems like that. Private business, you cannot fail. What I was gonna say. So what happened is the bank's looking at this and it's like, okay, well, these people with 5% down, right? We're actually exposed to more risk than the private bank, right? Like we're trying to help our citizens, and yet, if like business economic storm happens, we're exposed to all this risk. The bank, which is a private business, just walks away clean. So they raise the standard for that. So now, if they go, okay, we need more, like safety. So they raise the standard to like up to 10%. If you put 10% down, then you need that mortgage insurance. It's like raising the standard up to 20% or up to 30%, right? Like that's extremely safe. Say if you walk in, you put down 90% cash for the house, and you still need mortgage insurance, like a poor person, that's extremely safe, right? Because what happens is then from 90 to all the way to like 10%, all those people, all those safer people, will still be paying this mortgage premium to the government, right? While the more risky people with just like 5% down, right, still pay the same premium, but they have a higher chance of defaulting, right? All right, I hope you're following me so far. So they raised that minimum from 5%. Only the people with 5% down need insurance. They raised that to 10% because because they're saying the people with 10% down less likely to default, less likely to need that insurance, right? But still paying the premium every month. And it's a government plan. So it's by law. You can't escape it. And what that's done is cooled the housing market, right? Because nobody wants to pay that extra premium, whereas before they didn't. As if they were like a loser, right? I can't help it. I have teen audiences, right? Sometimes their language, you know, crazy, right? So, but at the same time, um, a borrower like me who put down 20%, at least 20% in cash, I don't need to get that insurance. So theoretically, I'm extremely safe risk. Um, so these, these banks in America is like going up in Canada and say, see, Antu, you want to package his mortgage and resell it? Because if they ever ask whose mortgage it is, I just show them Antu. Yeah. I put down at least 20% on my mortgage. I don't need that insurance policy mandated by the government. And if some guy says, whose mortgage is this? This company, no, it's Antu right there. Master's degree, grow a family, Vietnam, everything. This is his mortgage. Safe bet, right? But am I a unicorn? You gotta think, am I a unicorn? Who else? Who else can afford to put 20% down? Who else? Am I the majority or am I the minority in Canada at this time? Especially, Canada the way it is, with money laundering and with foreigners coming here and buying stuff and rich, not that I hate you guys, but like rich girls from Hong Kong buying diamonds and stuff in Vancouver, just like putting 20% down, buying a little pied-à-terre in British Columbia. Now you gotta look at those mortgages and say, is this like 9%, like most of it at least like Antu, true blue Canadian, or is it like some playgirl from Hong Kong just here for a couple years now, gone? Or like, oh well, she wouldn't default, but like, is it like drugs? You know what I mean? Is it Antu or is it drugs? You know what I mean? Is it Antu or is it like ISIS? So you got that's sort of like my Looney Tune funny market analysis. These mortgages with 20% down that they're thinking of repackaging, which is like people like me, but is it really all like me or is it like drug money? Is it like fucking ISIS money? Somebody just, how the meme going around, like, I'm just money laundering. I'm not selling drugs. Money laundering is not selling drugs. All that shit going around. So it's not as easy. It's not as safe as you think it is. Once you know the whole story, it's actually not as safe as you think it is. And then, of course, there are the Canadians that did just put down 5%. They have to pay the premium on that mortgage. It's by law because that's a government plan that protects the private bank who lent them the money. But the economy is starting to slow down, and the whole point is I don't care about that really because I want to keep my house. I'm a real person. I live here, so I don't care about what they do with the mortgage, all that, right? But the whole point is retail sales actually shrunk in December, Christmas season, right? Shrunk. And then the average middle class Canadian, I'm not talking about poverty, but including poverty, but the average middle class Canadian needs more help just keeping up with modern costs like childcare and stuff. So the economy is actually gonna be very flat. The only people excited about it are like these types of banks that want to go up here and scoop up some opportunities, repackage it, and sell it. So that's my Looney Tunes market analysis of Friday. I might put it in a post tomorrow on the culture proof for fun, along with maybe Cartoon Network clip. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.